Welcome everyone to the Land Use Committee meeting on May 29th, 2012. Welcome to the people in the gallery, if you will, and also to those watching on Sire. And thank you for the committee men, I guess, that are here with me. And welcome to our newest member, Councilman Staggers. Thank you for taking part.
Well, thank you, Rex.
Yeah. I'll call this meeting to order, and we'll first agenda item is the approval of the Monday, April 30th, 2012 minutes.
So moved. Second.
And we have a motion and a second to approve those minutes. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our first order of business is the addition of the country club as an allowed land use. David, would you like to bring that up, please?
Good evening, councilors. I'm Dave Lublin with the Planning Office. We wanted to introduce to you an ordinance that would add a definition for country club into the city zoning ordinance and then place that in specific zoning districts. The impetus behind this introduction has actually come from the private sector and the fact that we've been approached by both primarily Westward Ho and then have had discussions with Minnehaha Country Club as they have looked to begin off-sale alcohol purchases. If they have an event where somebody wants to purchase a bottle of wine, technically they're not allowed to do that under the current ordinance. And so we've been working with the city clerk's office, Jamie Palmer, the licensing administrator, and then with the country clubs themselves in figuring out exactly under what mechanism that should be allowed. Their current alcohol sales are on sale and they are grandfathered in, but the current zoning ordinance does not, because it's a RC, Recreation Conservation District, there is no provision or land use that has allowed retail sales or alcohol sales in those districts. And so basically what this ordinance amendment would do would be to bring what's acknowledged as the existing land uses into compliance with the city zoning ordinance. And so as a measure of that, there's a couple of different places that we'd place this. We would place Country Club in the RC, Recreation Conservation District, which is what the both Country Clubs and Willow Run are zoned. And then we would also allow a country club in the permitted special uses section of the C2 General Commercial District as long as they were not within 200 feet of residential uses or 1,500 feet of an elementary or secondary school. In addition, we've added the conditional use permit standard. If the country club wanted to go in and were unable to meet those distance requirements, they would be allowed to apply for a conditional use permit to be heard by the Planning Commission. And so then there's the standard under which we'd review that that's also been added. So I can certainly answer any questions. We wanted to bring this to your attention. Prior to the Planning Commission, we've tentatively scheduled this ordinance to be heard by the Planning Commission for next Wednesday, June 6th, and then it would come to you for first reading on June 19th and second reading on July 3rd. So I can answer any questions.
Is there some discussion, Councilor Karski?
Golf course, you said that would then be defined as a country club or would be able to be moved to a country club from the RC? Is that?
Yeah, golf course is actually a permitted use. What isn't defined under a golf course is the retailing nature of a country club where they have their pro shop, and then they also, it's not, alcohol sales aren't allowed. And so we just wanted to add country club as a definition and then include that into a land use category.
So a golf course would automatically be included under the country club definition?
Yes, but it's not limited to that. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Right. Okay. And one more, if you don't mind.
Please.
The alcohol, the on sale, obviously they have to go through the normal process of acquiring a license, et cetera?
That's correct. Yep. They would still have to apply for the license. The way we do alcohol licensing, which I think some of you are pretty familiar with, is that it's essentially a two-step process where we do the land use approval to make sure we go through Planning Commission and the city zoning ordinance as it exists right now to make sure that the location is appropriate. and then the applicant would then be free to apply for the license that's heard by the city council.
Councilor Sagers.
Just to clarify, this is already going on, right?
Yes.
Everything,
Not, well,
except for the off sale, or?
Yeah, I don't believe that they approached us on beginning off sale. I don't believe that they have that license right now. They do have an on sale license, which was grandfathered in under the old terms of the ordinance, but they've approached us about off sale retailing. And we have been in contact with representatives from Westford Ho, Minnehaha, and Willow Run on this proposal, and they are in, what they've told us is that they're very much in favor of it.
Thank you.
Councilor Anderson.
What's the status of these country clubs? Are they a for-profit, non-profit?
My understanding is that they're for-profit, but I guess we haven't gotten into that as far as our drafting of the zoning ordinance as to what.
Would there be sales tax applied to these sales? Or are there sales tax applied to their pro shop sales right now?
I believe there is, but I'll clarify that and make sure that we have that information for you. I mean, I believe that as a for-profit organization, yes, they would be charging sales tax.
Okay, and then I guess what, other than just selling the alcohol, what is the benefits here as far as off sale? You already have on sale. Now we're going to start selling off sale to allow them to.
From a land use standpoint, there's alcohol sales that have already existed on the site, and I believe a lot of their patrons have asked them repeatedly for the opportunity to buy a bottle of wine that they had, that they had a glass of while they were at a function at the facility, and so they have asked us to do that. And given the parameters that we've outlined in the zoning ordinance amendment, we believe that that would probably be appropriate.
Thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Staggers?
Yeah, I haven't really had a chance to closely look at this, but what is the difference between a private club and a country club?
A private club is not for the rendering of services which is carried on as a business, which would include retailing, on sale, off sale, and full service restaurants. So a private club does not do that. A country club would, is the primary difference. So a private club you could consider something like the Nature Conservancy, or something to that effect. A private club would fall under that type of provision.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gray in the situation here on that. How can you get into country clubs private?
Yeah, because you don't, the way you have it written right now, you don't want these private clubs to be engaged in this activity.
That's right. We're trying to define
But
the
other than
difference.
that, is there any real difference between
that is
private?
I think that is exactly how we're defining the difference between a country club and a private club, is that the country club is rendering services that are primarily like a business, retailing of pro shop merchandise, on sale, food, things like that. And a private club is a private club. It's not a public, business that people attend.
Other questions?
Not a question.
Please.
I guess number one, I would like to know that nonprofit, for-profit status of the country clubs. I consider a country club a private club anyway, because you have to have a membership to be a member of the club and to utilize their what they have to provide. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if this is graying the whole thing down between private clubs and country clubs. I guess I'd need a lot more explanation on this. I see this as a graying of that whole area there, and I'm not in support of this at this point in time.
Other questions? I have a couple. How does the new law, or how do you see the new law that the state put into effect, where where restaurants can now they can buy a bottle of wine, or they can buy a bottle of wine, and now they can reseal that wine so that a person can take it home with them without being caught, without being taken for a DWI. How do you see that affecting? Because this seems to be the kind of thing that they want to do. They just passed that this past year. They all kind of looked at each other and says, "You mean we're not supposed to do that?" Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. And now they passed that where they have the bag that they can put in, and they can put a seal on it so that the highway patrolman or the cop, the police officer, knows that this has not been drunk or drank in the car. I see that kind of taking care of this problem almost.
I believe that would be considered an off sale. They're still buying the glass of wine at the site that they consume, but then they're purchasing the rest of the bottle to take home. And so
No, it wasn't considered that.
it wasn't.
No,
Under
it
state.
was that they had bought the bottle of wine. They had,
And
they hadn't consumed the whole bottle, but they wanted to take it with them. Otherwise, they would not have been able to take the bottle with them. So that they now could have it bagged up and take it with them.
Well, and that's something that we would certainly be discussing with Jamie Palmer too, on how that would be viewed under the license itself. We try and coordinate as closely as we can
Yeah,
on.
I'm just
those
wondering if that doesn't kind of take care of some of this problem. I see some problems with this in trying to define the country club as opposed to a private club, and saying private clubs cannot do this and country clubs can. And so a country club or a private club is going to say, well, we've got a table tennis court out here, and we've got we dug a hole for a swimming pool, and I'm sorry, I'm being a little facetious, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And we'd like to have that, and we're going to be discriminated against because we can't buy a liquor license, an off-sale liquor license. So, Councilor Karski.
I'm going to go away from the alcohol sales if I could just for a second, just
Okay.
to clarify the intent of this ordinance change. Currently, a private country club is on RC. What is the effect, property tax-wise, of doing that, zoning them as an RC?
It would not affect property tax as far as.
Do they pay? Changing it from RC to a commercial use, I mean, if we're zoning a country club as RC and we change it to a commercial use or another land use, how does that affect their taxes?
Their taxes, they wouldn't need to change zoning classifications is what the goal of this would be, is that they could remain in the RC district and be able to render the services that they're already providing. And then if we add a land use, to what's allowed in the zoning district, I don't know for sure exactly how the assessor would look at that.
Okay.
I think what they look at is exactly what the commercial nature of the facility is. If it's a commercial establishment, then I think that's what they look at. But I can't speak for the assessor on what they would do.
Okay. And then going back to Councilor Anderson's point or question, I guess, a private club, a country club, and the definition, do we currently define a country club as a private club? I mean, how are we sliding them in there?
I believe it's an existing under grandfathered uses. Westward Ho and Minnehaha County have gone back a long way, and they've existed much prior to what our current ordinance, when that was established. And so it's under this request that they've made to us that we've kind of realized that, there are some things that they do that maybe weren't allowed for. And, when the zoning ordinance was established back in the early 1980s. And so what our goal is, and this is where we're coming to you for some of your advice and consent on this, our goal is to make sure that they're operating within the structures that they would like to be and not, out of compliance with what the zoning ordinance says.
I think really what's going on is we're trying to get our act together to get them within our ordinances.
Well,
Yeah, they're just sitting there, just continuing to operate, and now we're just trying to, oh, wait, they don't exactly fit the way we want them to fit, so.
No, they're not doing this at this point.
Except for the off-sale, they're doing all of it, aren't they?
well, there's retail and on sale
Which is retail.
at the pro shops right now. Westward
Yeah,
Ho
but
and
they're
Minnehaha.
not selling alcohol. I mean, they're not doing off-sale right now.
They're not, no, nope. That was the impetus behind this. It was the request.
Right,
that
this
we
is a
received.
request.
Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson.
I'd like to table this and bring it back next month so that we have time to speak to our city attorney and discuss over some of our concerns and get the information
Yeah.
from planning exactly on our questions that we've given him also.
I'd like to get some information back too on the concerns that we've listed here, brought up. And then if you could be so kind as to come back next month, when is our next meeting?
The last Tuesday.
The last Tuesday
June.
of June?
Yep. Yep.
And report back if you would, please.
Well, and that's
David,
right. And that's
26th,
okay.
and let us know what they feel or where they're at with that. And I think that'd be a wise move at this point rather than trying to take some action now.
Sure. And that's why we wanted to bring it to your attention prior to going through the public hearing at
Yeah,
the Planning Commission.
I think
so.
it would be good because I think we're a little early yet. Okay?
Sounds
Okay,
good.
thank you much. Next agenda item is open discussion. Do we have some open discussion? I will let you know that the Urban Ag Committee is moving along nicely on the animal ordinances, and it's going to take a little bit of time because it's going to slow down a little bit this summer. We're only going to do probably one meeting a month rather than two, but we are moving along nicely, and hopefully we'll get some things done before, hopefully before the end of the summer and bring some things to you. It'll probably be fall, so somewhere in there, but it is moving along. So is there anything else for the good of the order?
Do we need to make any motion on this, or is this just informational at this time?
No, I think we've put it in that we're going to, we've asked them to come back at the, for the next meeting, and that'll be sufficient. Mr. Cooper?
I have one item that's unscheduled, but if you wouldn't mind another quick discussion here. Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. Wanted to give you an update since last year when we initiated the new public hearing process for planning and zoning items. And I can send this out to you and to the council, but the statistics that we've kept so far that would begin last July in 2011 and going through the end of April of this year. The new public hearing process, we've done a total of 97 cases or items through April. The number of notices that have been mailed out is 2,204. And so the average number of notices per item is about 23. And then the average amount of staff time per month of dealing with notices is just over 6 hours. So the process is working very well, and I know that you put a lot of effort into helping us work through that and putting together an ordinance amendment to have that amended notification process. So I don't think that we've ever given you an update, and we can give you a more current report on this to the entire council if you would like. So just thought that would be of interest tonight.
I appreciate that very much because I know we spent a lot of time going through that and making a decision as to how many and things like that, but it seems to be working very well. Councilman Staggers.
Yeah, just a quick question, Mike. Any idea cost per hour?
I haven't calculated that, but we could do that, I think.
Okay.
That
Yes.
probably would be good. Probably would be good. Thank you. And that would probably be good if we could do that after 1 year,
Sure.
where we get
Yep.
1 year's.
That would be the end of July, would be 1 year.
End of July, so you could bring it to us maybe in August?
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
If you could, that would probably be good. So we get a 1 year glance at it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you much. Appreciate that. Okay, do you want to say that now?
Going back to Counselor Anderson's question on whether or not they need a motion, it does need to be seconded, and they do need to vote on it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Second.
So you need a motion to, I don't know, is table the right, or would it be postponed to lay on the table? We do need a motion to lay on the table.
So move, Anderson.
Anderson and Staggers for a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Denise. I'm hearing no other business to come before the committee. I would adjourn or make a motion for adjournment. Don't need that? Okay, I would adjourn it.